by Kathrin Tordasi. Prologue. Long ago, humans and fairies could pass back and forth between their worlds effortlessly. The kingdoms of mortals and immortals were as close to each other as the banks of a river, with nothing but an empty stretch of land in between. No one ever gave the borderlands a thought, but someone sensed every person who passed, and one night he who had been sleeping for 100 years stirred. Red autumn leaves fell from the trees as the gray king rose from his lair. He roamed the in-between world, shrouded in swirling fog. Anyone caught in that fog either vanished without a trace or became a mistwalker, a creature existing without a single memory of its former self. All at once, those traveling between the worlds had to fear for their lives. And there was more. The Gray King sent his army into the human and fairy worlds. Pale riders brought the fog with them, making lakes, fields, and villages disappear and dissolve into a gray ocean. Eventually, humans and fairies joined forces, and together they pushed the king and his army back into the borderlands. The fairies put him into a deep sleep, but they could not say how long their enchantment would last. Exhausted from the battle, humans and fairies made a grave decision. They would seal up the border between their worlds in the hope that the Gray King would never be able to leave his borderlands ever again. And that was what came to pass. The human folk returned to their druids. The wise women and men used rune magic to close all of the doorways to the fairy world, or fairy, as some call it. From that day onward, they were locked, and only a handful of chosen ones possessed a key. Those key bearers were bound by one rule. If they opened a door leading to the other realm, they had to close it as soon as they had crossed over. However, centuries went by, and the memory of the story of the Gray King began to fade into oblivion. When we came into possession of one of these keys, no one remembered about the rule, or the Gray King for that matter. Unknowingly, we crossed over into fairy, and for a while we lived in blissful ignorance. We left the door open behind us, since no one had told us why it must be closed. When the Gray King returned, no one saw the signs, no one raised an alarm. That morning, when the fog surged from the woods like a storm flood, it was already too late. Olivia Stephen, Stories from the Other World, 1965.